transferring birds to islands to protect them when they're getting impacted on the mainland, it's sort of started in New Zealand. It's where it's been used the most because we have a lot of offshore islands and we have species that are suitable for doing this work. I won't say we've developed the technique, but we've refined it here in New Zealand. You can't do it with something like rhinos and elephants. So we're fortunate in New Zealand that it does fit with our fauna.
Wharepuaitaha, he threw the sun away. The sun then became the daylight stretched out. His hand was singeing and he called out to the Tieke, passing the water, to call his hand down, and the Tieke ignored him. So he reached down and touched the Tieke. The handprint of Wharepuaitaha remains.
Tieke were right through New Zealand. I don't know the impact of Kiori on them, but pretty soon after Europeans arrived with their rat, the black and ship rats, Tieke just can't handle the predation and disappeared fairly quickly from the mainland, and were finally left just on Taukehepa off the bottom end of Rakiura. Where they nest, they'll nest anywhere from ground level up into the sub-canopy. They make quite a sizable nest, but that habit of nesting low is one of the factors that makes them extremely vulnerable to rat predation. In the 60s, there was still the belief of a natural balance. Oh well, rats will get to an island, yes, they'll knock the bird numbers down, but they'll just hit a nice balance and coexist and all will be rosy in the world. And Taukehepa was the first real example that showed no, there is no nice rosy balance. In an invasive species, the natives lose out. And so that was a wake-up call internationally, not just in New Zealand.
62 is recognised as the ecological disaster. The rat incursion threatened a lot of native species, those taonga species, particularly Tieke, the wren, the greater short-tailed bat, and as well as the snipe, or more recognised within our people as the hakawai.
Don Merton, he's been identified as a saviour of Tieke, but he's part of a wider team in the Wildlife Service that actually was down on Taukehepa or Big South Cape when they first discovered that ship rats were having such an impact on them. And it was Murty and his whole team that actually did the shift. You know, they took that brave step of going, actually, we need to shift some of these birds if we're going to save them. And that courage of that team to actually step forward and do that shift, that's why we've still got them today. You know, we'd have lost them forever if they hadn't done that.
We're all guardians of kaitiaki, but it started from both those whānau of those two islands, the Bragg and the Macquarie whānau.
Those people involved were looking for a safe haven for Tieke. And Te Poho Taire, a big island, and Kaimohu were identified as, I guess, key islands. And that was around the same time Margaret started on the Rakiura Titi Islands Committee. And from then she's been, I guess, known as the Kaitiaki of the Saddleback, and many, many years of making decisions around, I guess, conservation management, making the decisions about the bird, where they should be going to, the people that should be involved.
Without Auntie Margaret, the species wouldn't be where it is now.
That's for sure.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't be.
She was a key person in regards to where the species is now, that's for sure. She was very active. At times very vocal too.
Very vocal.
Yes.
She got the message across.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she wanted to say something, she said it. So she was a very special lady.
She did everything she could to protect that bird. She always said she wanted them to go back home to Taukehepa. And for those families that may have never seen Tieke of Saddleback, you know, that was a key part of her drive, was to get those birds home. And she always seen it as that she's a kaitiaki for Tieke, but their homes on Big South Cape.
What ecologists do a lot of the time is they put bands on birds, and that means we can track how that bird goes, where it goes, if we capture it again. So we ended up banding over 40,000 birds. Now, titi, they're globetrotters. I mean, they're amazing animals. They go over 64,000 kilometres in an annual cycle. It happened that one of our birds ended up getting trapped in an oil slick off San Francisco. One had this metal tag around its legs, and it turned out to be a bird that we had banded on Wharepuaitaha, Codfish Island, as part of our studies. The NGOs up there encouraged us to, if you like, sue for cultural damages for the injuries. We made a case that by removing rats and weka from the islands, that we would end up accelerating the number of eggs and chicks that would be produced from those islands, and that would repair the injury caused by the oil slick. What was really important was that the money went back to the kaitiaki, and Department of Conservation cooperated with the kaitiaki to remove these rats.
Kaitiaki was so neat for doing the eradication there and then releasing Tīeke back there, which was their home. So you're completing the circle, and that's something that very few people get to do these days.
The source population came from such a small population, and then the birds have been moved out from that, and every time you do a transfer, then you're only taking a proportion of that population, so it's only a proportion of the genetics. So each subsequent transfer, you're actually diminishing your gene pool for the new population. And so the idea of this one, moving those genetics around and just helping with the transfer of genetics, is just going to improve the strength of your population, which is a great idea. It's absolutely wonderful they've been able to get it to happen.
When we come down muttonbirders, and it was quite a nice thing to be greeted with the saddleback and the Tieke ways. I remember when they first come here, they'd fly right at you and make a screech, and I don't know who was trying to frighten who, to be quite honest. When you coexist with them like you do for the season, you naturally feel a bit of a rapport with them, hey? Well, that's the way I feel.
Here we go, some new bloodstock.
It's over time, eh?
Exactly, well overdue.
What would it be, 40 odd years, 50?
50 years.
Yeah.
Yep, 50 years since they came here.
It's something that I think should be taken up by all the birders, not just by 2 or 3, because they're definitely worthy of saving.
Okay, guys. See you later.
That flew in your pocket.
We'll run one down here, Teresa.
Along here?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll probably set up 10 nets, yep, and just keep, we've got about 4.5 hours, because we want to get back to the other side in time to let these ones go and they can find a home for the night.
Yep.
And the birds fly into it, they don't see it, they fly into it, and we catch them. It's fishing for birds, basically. We want to catch about 10 if we can. When the Tīeke were going extinct on Kaitiakitanga, they were taken to 2 islands, one of which was Kaimohu and the other one was Big Island. So the aim here is to get birds, brought those birds from Kani over, So that'll boost the genetics here, and we'll take some birds from here to Kani to get the Kaimohu birds are the more important ones. Everything around most of the South Island, the birds are all big island birds, which has been through a very narrow bottleneck. So if we can mix these into it, so we don't lose those genes, and then give them more resilience, is the aim of the project.
Now I can see where I'm going.
You got the blue one up the top.
Yeah.
Russell runs a neat trap. How many did he catch last trip transfer? 20 something birds in this trap that he made.
Yeah, they use a mist net, and I got cunning and used the possum trap. I'm baited with apple and banana and orange. I've got a mirror in there. I don't know if that's working, but anyhow, when they go in there, we drop the string, and this is how we get them out. We put our hand in here, like so, and we get them. Last time we were here, I was here a week before the crowd arrived by myself, and I had this trap open like that for a week and feeding them. And they're going in and out for a week. And when the catching crowd, the group got here, I sort of had a wee bit of edge on them, really, because I trained them.
That's our one.
There's the other one.
There we go. Now we wait.
Right, you fella. Okay. Oh, not fair, is it? This has never happened here before, has it?
Okay.
Here's the bag.
It's the bag.
It's got hold of me thumb. He's not going to let go. Oh, God. Yep.
So that's the first one. Now we'll get another one. It's pretty groundbreaking stuff that's happening here. Hopefully once the genetics are analysed, we'll find out, is this all worthwhile or not? At the moment it's all theory, but nobody else has done it. So the fact that, the muttonbirders are leading the way is quite impressive.
Ross has got one.
Good.
And Russell, and then we've got 3.
Brilliant.
And the helicopter pilot caught one too, and he so excited, he said must have been down hopping around the net, and he threw a stick and it flew it. So he caught one.
Good on him.
He's
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, the transfer is a success then. If we've got half a dozen, then yeah, that's...
I don't know whether Joe's got any or not.
You got any, Joe? Close call doesn't count.
There you go. Hurry up.
This leatherwood, this tupari, this whole muttonbird island ecology really suits them, especially with all the seabirds, because you've got a lot of insects and invertebrates around. They're poor flyers, so they hop around the ground, and you've just got easy steps through all layers of the canopy here, from the ground right up to the top.
I love mutton birding, but I love the island better. It's in you. I love the bird life. Something about it. It's just inside you. You just, you know, you're at peace when you're here. You're really cool. Yeah. Same as with Teresa. We've been married 50 years, and she's been coming 50 years. So.
And the minute I stepped ashore, because we came on boats in those days, you know, and you knew then this is part of your life. You knew that as soon as you stepped off that boat and you came ashore and you seen all the life here, that was what you wanted to really do. You come here and you think, oh, I'm home. Then you leave, you know, and it's. I like to go into the bush before I leave, you know, have a day and just sort of sit there, and you can feel the life all around you.
I feel that my whakapapa and with the birding are entwined. I do, I really honestly do. I think there's something there between us, and not just mutton birds, all the other bird life that's here. It's just part of us, you know. It's just really something. Without the birds, it'd be dead. You'd be like living in a desert.
That's what it's all about. Nice adult female. We've been collecting gene samples, collecting blood samples that'll be analysed at some stage in the future, and then we can see whether we've actually made any difference, whether the Kani birds are interbreeding with Kaimohu birds and giving them better genetics, and vice versa to Kani. And that will hopefully lead to decisions in the future of where birds should be sourced from. So for the rest of its life, this bird is now an individual. He's gorgeous. Just, you can just see he's starting to stress a little bit with that gaping. So that's a sign that he's
Been held enough.
Been held enough. 160.
Okay, that's promising.
That's just it's called a jackbird. It's a juvenile. Only the South Island Tīeke have that. North Island don't have a jackbird stage. They're called jackbirds because when the first settlers came here, they thought they were a different species.
We jump in. Right. You jump in too.
These guys here, these are the ones that'll be moving to Breaksea Island tomorrow. The Māori name for that island is Wharepuaitaha. So they've got a wee distance to go. Of course, the whānau will go with the birds to hand them over to the other whānau at the other side as well. So you know, that's important. That's special as well. You know that each whānau is participating. One whānau releasing that taonga species to the other whānau that's receiving it on another island.
You got him? Yes, I've got him.
Oh, he does? He's the one with the tip.
It's starting to spit.
He's got me.
That's 843 just gone on.
843, thank you.
Tucker, we're wondering perhaps we should go into the bush.
Yeah,
Tucker, this is everybody.
yeah, I'm Tucker.
This is Tucker, this is Roz from the department, Pete McClelland, Phil Malgren.
Oh, forget your names for 2 bloody minutes.
Kia ora koutou katoa, nō reira. Nā mihi, nā mihi.
This one there. Put your finger between his legs like that.
Gee, they're beautiful, eh?
Oh, okay.
Well, I first went birding in the 50s, and then when I was a kid, and then we didn't go back anymore, and I just loved it, so I built here. Went to Wharepuaitaha, then I built this house here, and been here ever since. It's just a lifestyle. The hunting challenge, out there doing it. It's free, your own boss. I've been hunting all my life, I've been fishing all my life, so it's just a part of it.
Oh, Pete, that one's got a band on it.
Oh no!
Oh, cool.
That's the way life is. I think as you get older, you get bloody softer. So, you know, once upon a time we used to kill everything, and now we want to save everything.
Okay,
Yep.
That's go one lead.
That one's hopping on the ground, right?
That's all right.
The Rakiura Māori can be very proud, Ngāi Tahu iwi, of what we've accomplished here. That's for sure. You know, we need to keep this going. It just can't be through one generation. It needs to be passed on. For Tieke, the vision would be great to see Rakiura predator-free. And I think that actually puts up a challenge for us to do that, because it's not only Tieke we can return back there, it's kakapo, all those other species that originally did come from there.